This is apagar, to turn off preterite forms. You know, like to turn off the TV or to turn off the lights. Now, how are we going to remember that apagar is to turn off? Well, I have a pa who sometimes forgets to pay the gas bill, so they turn off the gas. Not really, but visualize this. A guy says, I have a pa who sometimes forgets to pay the gas bill, so they turn off the gas. So always pay your gas bill. Apagar is to turn off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say each form of the verb in English then Spanish and clap. And after I clap, I'd like you to repeat both the English and the Spanish with me. Okay? I turned off. Yo apagué. I turned off. Yo apagué. You friend turned off. Tu apagaste. You friend turned off. Tu apagaste. He turned off. Él apagó. He turned off. Él apagó. We turned off. Nosotros apagamos. We turned off. Nosotros apagamos. And you guys turned off. Ustedes apagaron. You guys turned off. Ustedes apagaron. Now, it's a preterite verb, so you expect to chop off the air and add E, A-S-T-E-O, A-M-O-S, A-R-O-N. And we have. Okay? And you expect there to be an accent in the yo form and in the he form. Because remember I told you, the single most important chant in Spanish too is this. If it ends with an E, it was done by me, once, with an accent. If it ends with an O, it was done by Joe, once, with an accent. Now, what you might have noticed too is the yo form is irregular. Like so many verbs in Spanish, if there's only one form of the verb that's irregular, it's going to be the yo form. Think about present tense. What's the only form of ear, ser, and a star that has a Y? The yo form. Why? Because it's used the most. What's the only form of tener and hacer and poner that has a G in the present tense? The yo form. So again, the reason some forms of a verb are irregular, not to confuse you guys, but if it's very, very common and it's used a whole lot, it gets worn out and becomes irregular. And since the yo form is the most common form of the verb, frequently the yo form is the only regular form of the verb. Now, how are we going to remember that we chop off the G-A-R and add G-U-E? Well, this is part of a group of verbs I call car-gar-zar. Everybody say car-gar-zar. Car-gar-zar. I've got clips on this, but I'll just mention it real quickly. If a verb ends in car, like buscar, you chop off the C-A-R and you add Q-U-E. If a verb ends in gar, like apagar or llegar, you chop off the G-A-R and add G-U-E. And if a verb ends in zar, like almorzar, you chop off the Z-A-R and add C-E. So chop off the gar and add gay. Okay, one of my students said, you're saying Garfield's gay. No, I'm not saying Garfield's gay. Cute, but inappropriate. I'm saying that if a verb ends in gar, in the preterite, in the yo form, you chop off the gar and add gay. All right. Hopefully this helped. Cool.